Welcome. I'm Melinda Hereford, coach and consultant from California.
And I'm Shelly Renee, practice management coach here in New York. And we are so excited to introduce you to Colleen Huff. She's our insurance coach. She is the go-to person on anything insurance. And today, Melinda and I wanted to pick Colleen's brain on a subject that bothers so many practices. Their insurance lists in their software are typically all over the place, a bit of a mess. And often we don't know where to start to clean up. And this is something that gets Colleen all excited. And I needed to bring her here so that you guys could hear how she keeps this part of the software organized. Colleen, what can we do?
Thanks, Shelly. Yes, I am a little bit unique in that I like the cleanup. I like the insurances. I get a little excited when I talk about it. Those that know me know that that's completely who I am. But when I go into an office or I go to do a consultation for a practice, one of the first things I notice for many of us, or if I've taken over a practice, is that insurance list of the names of the insurance companies. There's 6 million different MetLifes that have the same address. Or you
Colleen,
have,
isn't it like a closet that is overflowing with clothes, like it's just boiling out, right?
Yeah.
And we just throw the door on it and shut it. And
Exactly.
when we can't find the insurance, we just make a new one, right? We just make another one, right?
Well, and also somewhere along the way, and I date myself on how long I've been doing this, I tell people probably about 20 years ago, someone was teaching that, because I actually had someone tell me that, well, no, a consultant told me I have to put the insurance in new every time.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah. And so I don't know who that was. I don't think they're doing this anymore. So when you go in, sometimes that can be, it's a difficult part to handle. So, and we don't have time.
right.
And so right now, a lot of us have some time on our hands. And so what I like to suggest is take that time and let's be productive with it. Let's take that project that we never wanted to do. And like you said, the closets, it's very similar. I'm not good at closets. I'm really good at this though. And let's clean it up. So you want to take a look at, there's a couple of different lists that I always tell people to look for. You're going to run obviously an insurance list. You want to see how many MetLifes you have in there with the same exact address, how many Cignas, how many Aetnas, things like that. And over the years, a lot of the insurances have come to the point that they have one address. And so that makes our life a lot easier. It used to be, when I started at MetLife, that's my background. When I started at MetLife, they had, I think, 8 or 10 addresses the claims went to. Now they have one.
Nice. Super smart.
So yeah, so you need that report. The other thing that you end up needing to clean up that gets messy is the employer list. And Shelly and I have talked about this. You end up with, we all handle things differently. Shelly and I are in New York State. So you hear NY, or you see people write NY or NYS, or New York State, they'll spell it out, or NY State. So there's all those different ways to put something in. Well, the same thing happens with our employers. And so you may have an employer, and like this happens to us all the time, University of Buffalo is down the street. So the person before me spelled out University of Buffalo. I'm not that patient. You be, So I now have 6 different University of Buffaloes that are the same employer with the same group number, but in there 6 different ways. And so that's the other list that you need to go through. So as a team, you decide how you're gonna, what is your decision gonna be? And from there forward, you have to make sure everybody you hire, you train them the same way. Because that's the other thing that happens, is you clean this all up, a new person comes in, and you don't realize for 6 months what they're doing different. So these are those things as onboarding we need to make sure that we are doing too.
So the name of the insurance company must be the same, the name of the employer every single time the same, and the addresses matching. That alone would help a lot.
That's it. So Shelley and I
Absolutely.
have been learning about naming conventions, Colleen. And so part of this is what's the plan for the name, right? What's the plan for the name? And that we stick to it, no matter who the person is that's doing it, so that there's a standard operating procedure for how we've named them, and including just what Shelley just said, those 3 areas, like that it's the same every single time. That's beautiful.
Well, and the reason you have to make those decisions is, along with that, there's also a group number, but there might be a sub and a branch. So your employer, Kaleida, or UB, or New York State, or the state of California, may have 6 different subs and branches that they can offer their employees. And again, if that name's not spelled the same every time, you're going to get duplicates put in there. And then what happens? So Mrs. Smith comes in and Mary updates her insurance, and there's new things and there's new percentages, but she didn't notice that up above was a different spelling of that same group number and doesn't update their information.
Right.
So now you're doing either double work or your info doesn't match. So and what happens to a lot of people is they take a look at this and it just looks overwhelming. I mean, just beyond overwhelming. And what I like to tell people is get yourself a couple of binders that you put those lists into. Highlighters, I'm a big highlighting queen. I love my highlighters. Pick a color that means it's been worked on, or you can cross it off in red or black, whatever you decide. But just, if you don't have the time, work on it a little at a time.
So print out the list, and then have a way to indicate which ones you fixed.
Right.
And then when we're ready to tackle the next area, look where we left off.
Right.
But is there a point where you can hit the merge button? Isn't there? Is it you clean up first and you hit the merge button? How does that work?
You can. Well, you can either hit the merge button, or the other thing you're going to need to go in is, let's say you've had 12 MetLifes and you've scaled it down to 1, and you've moved all the employers off those old ones. You can inactivate or change that name so it literally reads "do not use." I've seen offices do that. So they can't pick it. So depending on your software, some will let you inactivate them. Some will let you delete them completely. But if they've been attached to an insurance company or a claim at some point, they're not supposed to be deleted. So you have to find a way that your software will let you. So like Teresa Duncan tells everybody this a lot: put a "do not use" in that name, or put it after it, so that when they pull it up, it literally says "don't use me," so that you're not repeating the same issue. But
I would think that if the offices could tackle this now, because it takes some concentration, and right now,
absolutely
concentrate, I would think the claims would be going out a lot cleaner, a lot less errors if we could take care of this.
Well, the other thing it does once we're back working is your bulk payments are all on the same. Like I've had that issue, like Delta Dental.
That's huge.
Their bulk, I love my bulk payment sheet. I love my bulk payment section. I love my ERAs. But if they're attached to different MetLifes, that ERA doesn't work with the push of a button, and you have to go out of the system and go.
Wow, that's a huge efficiency.
That's a huge time saver, is right. So we're gonna get clean claims. We're gonna speed up the process, less errors. Oh man, that's
beautiful.
The other thing you have to make sure they're doing is they have to make sure that it's somebody who really doesn't find it overly tedious. I mean, it's tedious, don't get me wrong, but there's those like me that consider it fun. And, as we said earlier, it's that Nancy Drew, I'm going to figure it all out and get it all right in me. And then there's those that go, oh, good God,
Shelley and I might be that person, Colleen. This job might just drive us crazy, but your point is really good, which is who in the office, and usually it's the insurance coordinator, but who in the office loves this? Who is like, this is awesome, let's do this, right? And usually they're pretty detailed, and they like to find the pieces to the problem. They're problem solvers. Like, find all these pieces and fix them.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, if you don't have the right person, they're going to shortcut, and they're going to make more mistakes than they're going to help. And I've seen offices take a problem and make it bigger, not smaller, because they gave it to the wrong person.
Oh
So
my
it
goodness.
has to be, no, I have, I wish I hadn't. At the first office I managed, and I tell people this, like right now we have the time, but let's say
Yeah.
we get started on this project and we still only get halfway through it.
Right.
Plan, give yourself 6-8 months. I took an office, it took us a year and a half of slowly chipping away at it. We started with the insurances that we saw the most. We moved to the, we still had a system, but I also had to find the person that wanted to do it, because I had two that didn't want to touch it.
Yeah.
Colleen, could you outsource this? Let's say we're back into business. Is this an outsource potential or not?
I think it could be. It's probably a thought I should think of on doing on my own, truthfully. This is something that not everybody wants to do or knows how to do. I do think, and I'll check, there might be some other companies that have people that work on that kind of thing. But it's certainly something I think I need to add to my repertoire.
I would agree. I would agree.
Well, is there anything else we need to know regarding the cleanup, Colleen? Because I would love us to combine in a little handout that they could take to the office with them and just start working through this process. Are we missing anything?
Well, you just have to make sure you're being meticulous with it. So you have to be very careful, who is the insurance company? Does the address match? Because some of them are very particular. Delta Dental of New York has an AARP section. So you can't move your AARP people to the other one because it's a different, it's a different claims payer ID. There's information buried within those, that this is not to just throw at somebody who doesn't know insurance and say, here, go do this.
No.
There's layers to it that you have to make sure. You have to make sure you're checking your sub and your branch and your, if it's a guardian, if it's a class, you have to double check some of that. You also have to check if you're going to change any of the insurance companies, that your claims payer ID and your NEA numbers are correct, your attachment numbers, because those change sometimes, and that's one of the areas how people find out that an address has changed, because it didn't fix them all.
Beautiful.
There's been a claims payer ID change. There's insurance companies that have merged, and those ID numbers do change. Not often, but enough. So.
And they would find that out when they read their claims report after they submit it, correct?
They're going to get an error that'll come back, or the claim might be rejected.
Right.
NEA will do, EagleSoft too can do an automatic checking of those. So they can go through and run a report, and you call, I can't tell you how to do it off the top of my head, but usually it's a mass update that they'll do for you. I know Dentrix does it, that you might, and that's the time to do those too. I didn't think of that as I'm saying this. Do a mass update on all of those. Make sure your information's all up to date. Again, we don't normally have the time, because we don't either A, want to sit on hold, or B, as if you're the manager like I am, we get pulled in 12 directions.
And sometimes this software asks you to be out of it when you're doing a major change to the insurance. You need to have everyone out, and they definitely are out of the system right now. So
yes,
it's a good time.
Oh, I am so impressed.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Colleen.
You want to go clean up some insurance?
Can you see it in me? I'm like, I gotta double check my own.
Well, thank you, Colleen.
Thanks,
we
Colleen.
appreciate it. And
this was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
So we'll include a check sheet for you and the things to watch out for, so that we don't cause more problems more harm than good. And this is the time to get this cleaned up.
Excellent. And we'll have Colleen's contact information for sure.
Beautiful.
All right. Thank you, Colleen.
Thanks, Colleen.